Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let's go to verse number 4. You can just repeat after me, after each line. And I'll do it with swaras. And I think that we should, at the end of this class, really, I think all the verses do not have swaras, but the ones that have swaras, you should chant in the swaras. So this one does. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Sannyasa Yogat Yataya Shuddha Sattvaha Sannyasa Yoga Yatya Shuddha. I think let's do that twice everything. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Sannyasa Yogat Yataya Shuddha Sattvaha Sannyasa Yogat Yataya Shuddha Sattvaha Te Brahma Lokeshu Para Antakale Te Brahma Lokeshu Para Antakale Ye Te Brahma Lokeshu Para Antakale Te Brahma Lokeshu Para Antakale Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve. So let's look at the sentence meaning. First, the translation. The pure-minded seekers who by total renunciation have ascertained the knowledge of the Upanishads, being absolute and immortal, are all at the same time of death totally freed in the abode that is Brahman. Okay. So we can rearrange the words to, we can do this. So first of all, the pure-minded seekers. So rearranging it in English, the way the sequence in English is. Who are the pure-minded seekers? Shuddha Sattvaha Yatayaha. Shuddha Sattvaha Yatayaha. So there's a not just a yati, thank you, but also a Shuddha Sattva yati. I will go into these details in a minute, but just the sentence. Shuddha Sattvaha Yatayaha Sannyasa Yogat, who by this yoga of sannyasa, by the total renunciation, being paramritaha, being absolute and immortal. We'll go into that word. Paramritaha. Paraha and Amritaha, being absolute and immortal, then are all at the same time of death. Parantakale, Parantakale, at the time of death, then what happens to them? They are totally freed in the abode that is Brahman. Brahmalokeshu parantakale. So now we can rearrange it, just sing. The Shuddha Sattvaha Yatayaha, who are Paramritaha, by listening to Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Sannyasa Yogat Brahmalokeshu Parantakale Parimuchyanti Sarve. Rearranging of the words and so on. So let's look at the meaning of this. What is talked about. So the yatis that are talked about in this verse are the same yatis that were talked about in the previous verse. Remember? We go to number 3, if I can find it. So remember, na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyagena eke amritatva manashuhu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibrajate yat yatayaha vishanti. So this same yatayaha, so the qualities of those yati who discover the beauty and the very importance, the mahima, the word in Sanskrit that is used is mahima. This is an interesting thing to see. You know, we talked about papam in the beginning. Remember that? We said that in the terms of the language of papam, not knowing your own Atma is considered to be one of the worst papam. This is what was talked about earlier, right? The reason for that was that at this point in time, you are belittling your Atma by not knowing its mahima. It's kind of like insulting someone. You know, suppose, I remember that Swami Akhandananda said this. He said when Gandhiji went to London, so he was supposed to participate in some kind of a conference with the whoever was the Prime Minister or something. You know, there was some kind of a thing. And so he went to London and he was walking on the street. So this is a recorded history. So there must have been a couple of people along with Mahatma Gandhi. And there were a couple of young English boys who looked at him. And they must know that this is somebody important coming in to meet with the king or the Prime Minister. And they were muttering to themselves and even louder, "What is he wearing? He doesn't even know how to wear clothes. And he is such an important person. What kind of a guy is?" They all looked at me and says, "Don't know, these stupid Indians, they don't even know how to wear clothes," and so on. He said this is an example of, by not knowing the mahima of the person, the importance of the person, you were just making some casual remarks on the appearance of the person. This is an insult. and an insult based on ignorance. Really, it is just a complete ignorance about, because you don't know what this person is. Supposing this Vaidya, Sushil Dubeji, he's just a simple looking person. If you just meet him on the street, your first thing would be uh, just a person. You have no idea what this guy has accomplished. No idea. I didn't have any idea and I still don't. Just an amazing person. He has really started a movement in Banaras of having, he's got thousands of students, lakhs of people who are willing to see him. Just amazing. Even we don't appreciate that. He's just sitting there just talking to us. So this is what is called non-appreciation of Mahima. This is exactly what it is. And so, even the yatis, who have at least taken the first step of Tyaga, okay, the first step of Tyaga, don't understand the Mahima of the Atma, let alone you and I. Atma is an amazing, you are. So just think about this part of it. You have no idea how amazing you are. You have no idea. I really literally mean it, you have no idea. You know how amazing you are? This will give you a couple of quick things. Did you know that you have had 1 million lives? I'm just picking out a number, even that is an insult. And 1 million, consider what a life is. A life means a person who plays a significant role in the transactions of one's life. That's what a life is. You are one person who has, see how you are. You've got, you were young, you are married, you had children, you support so many things, this, that, this is one person. And you have done this 1 million times. And you remain the same person. You are capable of taking a life, leaving it, taking another life, leaving that, taking another life, transacting that. You have no idea how many people you have met, how many people you have influenced. Did you know this? No. Because all you are thinking is, I'm just one person, getting old, and that's it. I have no idea where I am. Total ignorance. Total mistake. This is the thing, they say that ignorance itself is not, this is why the word adhyasa, which is translated into a mistake, is a very good one, because they say ignorance is actually bliss. If you don't know something, then it doesn't cause a problem. But if the ignorance takes place where you make a wrong judgment about something, then that is a problem. So mistake is a problem. So at this point you have no idea how great you are. Not, this is the interesting thing, not how great you can be. See, this is what the thing, the whole karma, apraptasya prapti means how great I can be. No, you already are. You cannot be any better than what you are. This is the thing. You cannot be any better. Because you are already as good as anything can be. Do we appreciate it? No. You are looking at me and say, what? Me? It's true. So, now this verse further explains what the yati has to do in order to appreciate the mahima of the Atma. The yati is taken a first step of renunciation. Excellent, solid, necessary first step. Not the last step. What is it? What do they have to do? So there they say, so it means 3 or 4 things are given in here. First of all, you need to be a Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means that, normally it is pointed out as Antakarna Shuddhi, the purity of the heart. And this is the thing, you hear these words and you've heard them before and they don't really seem to do anything. So one has to have a purity of the heart. Okay, what's the next word? Let's go on. I understand. Do you understand what a purity of heart is? Yeah, I understand what a purity of heart is. We don't. What is a purity of a heart? Really, a purity of the heart is where this me and mine is diminished to a workable degree, where you don't distinguish between this is my family. You look down upon others, you have a higher. This is what is called likes and dislikes. This is what is called the non-purity of the heart, raga-dvesha. And the raga-dvesha, the source of raga-dvesha, the raga-dvesha doesn't mean that, that you like idli and dosa and you don't like dal and roti. That's not raga-dvesha. That is not, that is actually wonderful. Ishwaras, if everybody eats roti and dal only, life will be very dull. If everybody speaks the same language, everybody looks alike, everybody has the same color, same skin color, how would, this is such a beautiful creation. You cannot imagine the amount of diversity that is. It's all Ishwaras. I read this somewhere. They say that over the last several centuries, we have been able to identify the majority of creatures above the earth. A lot of research goes through, is this a new microbe, is this a new species, all of that is done. I read this somewhere in some book. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a very high percentage, like 80-90%. We think, we may be wrong, but we think that we have pretty much found it. And it's just an amazing variety. They said we are still at a very low minority for looking at the creatures in the sea. Tremendous variety. Every day. The other day I saw this, what was it? I think they said they found, just like the old huge dinosaurs, they found a carcass of a snake which is like 30 foot long. I mean, even now in the Amazon forest they find snakes that are so different from anything they've seen before. Amazing variety, tremendous variety. And so really speaking, you cannot really grasp the variety of the things that are not necessary to do so. But the likes and dislikes of whether it is one kind of food, one kind of person, that's not really that damaging to you. Yes, of course, if you have some ideas about the certain ethnic group is not good, that's very obvious that that's a foolish thing to do. You look at a person's skin color and just do that. Much more important, this is what Swami Akhandananda really has been saying. The purity of the heart is directly responsible for your not going above your limited nature. And the purity of the heart stems from what is called an asakti or agraha. These are two Sanskrit words used very often. I see them over and over again. Asakti and agraha. So these two is stubbornness. Stubbornness. Obstinacy. Stubbornness of saying, this much is mine. And I have great love for this much. Other than that, I don't like. I just don't have any feelings for the other thing. So, I think one of the students, I was discussing this, this is a very beautiful saying. I also, when I saw this from Akhandanandaji's book, he said, let me tell you something. Your sense of freedom, which is achievable, don't think of it as, oh, this is very theoretical and so on and so forth. Your sense of freedom will come when you see this world as Ishvara sees it. If you want to be Ishvara, then please behave like Ishvara. See things in the manner. And it's possible. Don't say, oh, this is not possible. How is that possible? Because in the eyes of Ishvara, which is the entire creation, everything is okay. Everything is okay. There's nothing wrong. It's a beautiful creation. There's no oops movement saying, oh my, I forgot about it. And if people need to be punished, they need to be punished. If people kill each other, then they'll pay for it. This is all part of it. Don't do it. But if you do it, then, it's exactly like if you get hurt and have a very serious injury, then you're going to get some pain to get it done. Surgery has to be done. What do you expect? Don't you want to get well again? So in the eyes of Ishvara, really speaking, it's just everything is the same. Yes, it doesn't mean that you don't have certain responsibilities. If your child is sick and you have a special responsibility, that's not what talking about likes and dislikes. But the feeling that, this is what Swami Akhandananda says. He says, the feeling of smallness is supported by likes and dislikes. And if you want to become a big person, then become more magnanimous. See things from others that the others want to see for themselves. Don't take partial things. That doesn't mean that you don't take special responsibility for your things. Not at all. That's all necessary. But it's a certain mindset which keeps you small. So this is what is used, the word agraha or an asakti. I think it was Swami Maheshanandaji's books that I read on this. He says, and it was very relevant when I read this because Trump was the president at that time when I read this. And already he was playing all kinds of funny things even when he was the president. So this Swami Maheshanandaji said, I've seen this. You belong to a certain party. Let's say in Republican Party. And you have a president who's misbehaving. Okay? So what are you supposed to do? You have certain morals, some responsibility, and you are a dharmic person, you are a good person. You are a good person. And you really should forget about supporting the candidate and your own party, because the party also is going in the wrong direction. But you don't. You ask somebody, well, I know he's not doing the right thing, but it's okay. I still want to be a Republican. This is what is called asakti and agraha. Despite overwhelming evidence, you refuse to give up the wrong thing. This is what is called agraha. So Swami Akhandananda really takes this point up. He says, I have seen this. Because, he has seen people in a variety of stages of their progress. He has seen people who are scholars of Vedanta. Scholars. Like this guy, remember Mr. Subramanian, who was quoting Sanskrit verses left and right. There are thousands of people like that who love to do that. And I'm not being critical of him, I'm just giving you an example. Swami Akhandananda says, you cannot believe how many scholars of Vedanta that I've heard who don't get it. Because it looks like a paroksha jnanam. It says that here, but as far as they are concerned, they are completely different. They have their own likes and dislikes. And then they come to Swamiji, and this is very typical, where the students goes to the teacher and says, I've been listening to you for so long, but I don't see anything happening. Fortunately, I don't get too many people talking to me like that. That's good. I think a couple have. The way it happens is they don't come to the classes anymore. That's it. I know a couple of people, and they've actually told me that the way they said that is very interesting. So I'll say, hey, I haven't seen you for a long time. You don't come to the classes anymore? He says, I think I've taken a lot of classes, and thank you very much for them. It is so wonderful and so on. But I think what I will do now is to translate that in my own life, in my own way. I says, good. Good luck, thank you, blessings, wonderful. Oh, good. Finally the rain. I'm very sorry to tell you, the lunch has been delayed, you cannot go there anymore. So, that's the situation. So Swami Akhandananda says, in his various books and so this Mandukya Karika, the 4-volume set that I decided to teach, is really not just a text. It's a commentary on life, the whole thing. And in doing that, he says, I have seen variety of stages of people. And they do not make progress because of agraha and asakti. Same phenomena. That, I know this is bad, but what? I don't know. I think I'll stick with it. This is exactly what happens. So we will also say, I have a sense of isolation, and I'm willing to give it up. Okay, so then give it up. Look at others in the same way. The other's child, your child, there is not much difference. It's, No, but this is the thing. So he thinks that the most important impediment of not making progress is antakarana shuddhi has not taken place. Has not taken place. And the antakarana shuddhi is directly responsible because of me and my attitude. This is his greatest thesis, Swami Akhandananda. And he should know because he has gone through it himself, and he says this is what needs to be done. So this is the meaning of a yati who is a shuddha sattva. So this is an epithet for yati, which was not there in the previous verse. So this verse introduces it. Shuddha sattva. And the other one is, other part of that is Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha. Shuddha sattvaha and Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha are two sides of the same coin. Because you cannot be Shuddha sattvaha until you understand what this means, what the promise is. You cannot give it, you cannot do vairagya until you have complete viveka. And the viveka is the result of sunishchitartha. Yeah, it's very interesting. Let's break it down. So, Vedanta Vijnana. Vedanta Vijnana means a complete Shravanam, Mananam, as Swamiji was saying, that listening to a teacher, reading the right material, leading a right life and so on, over a period of time. Swami Paramarthananda in Chennai, when I listen to his talks and so on, he makes this point very well, beautifully. He says, Shravanam doesn't mean that you just go through one book and say, oh, I've read that. I've done this. Swami Viditatmananda makes a beautiful point, and I can tell you this. The same book that you read 2 or 3 years apart makes a big difference to you. Even now when I read Bhagavad Gita, it has a different meaning for me. Same words. The only thing that has changed is my own mind has become a little bit more conducive towards it. So, Vedanta Vijnana means the Shravanam has to be done over a period of time. Cannot just be done once or twice and say, oh, I know about that book. You can even quote it. If you have good memory, you can quote verses of the Gita. And I've seen people do that. But their lifestyle remains the same, their likes and dislikes remains the same. There is no aparokshata, it's all paroksha jnanam. So, Vedanta Vijnana. Then, Nishchita Artha. Nishchita Artha means, let's see, how is it transmitted? Yeah. Nishchita means well ascertained. And really speaking, this comes when you don't say Gita says this. You say it. You feel it. You understand. Otherwise you'll say, oh, such and such book says this, such and such paroksha jnana. So sunishchitartha means the meaning has been well ascertained and become close to aparoksha jnana. So such yatayaha, so these are the conditions. Shuddha sattvaha, Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha, Sannyasa Yoga, obviously because of the previous one, which is which taking sannyasa of giving up things that are crutches because of that. Then what happens to them? Parantakale parimucyanti. So parantakale means, antakale means death. Antakala means at the time of death. So actually paranta kale means death because kala means time. So at the time of death is called antakala. Parantakala means the final death. Because the para means, para can also mean, both are equal. One is called the final, or para means above death. Okay? Para means above death. What is above death and what is final death? What does that mean? So what is said here is, and then what happens to them? Brahma lokeshu parantakale parimuchyanti sarve. And who are these people? Para amrita. Para amrita. Let me see. Yeah, this is also a very important concept. Paramritaha. So, the word Amrita means free of death. Itself can create a confusion in people's mind. How? Because it means that you are still under the sequence of time. You're under the sequence of time. It means that you become relatively immortal for a long time. Paramritaha means that even from that amritam you are something above. And what is that possibility? There is no possibility of time. Even time becomes mithya. For whom? Time is not a mithya for us now, but it should be seen to be a mithya. Time, again, if I don't know how much time we will have, and this is what I propose to talk in great detail in the Mandukya class. Time is also an upadhi to me. Body is an upadhi, as we saw in the meditation today. It is the most obvious of upadhi. Then you go more subtle and more subtle and more subtle. And then finally you have time and space as the final tools of role playing. Role playing, as Swami Viditatmananda was also explaining last night, is only possible when you have some visibility of body and mind. That these are all costumes. Time and space are also costumes of the subtlest variety. You cannot be a human being or any being unless you have time. And you are not a being, you are something more than a being. So this is what is called paramrita. You see what I'm saying? Amritaha means, the idea of the mind is that it is for a long time, I am free. I am not subject to death. How is that possible? Because the body has very limited things. Not possible. But here, even the discussion of time is immaterial, because the Atma is the person for whom time is an upadhi. Time also is a costume that also falls under the play, not the actor. So that is what it is called paramrita. Okay? Then finally, brahmalokeshu parantakale. What does that mean? So what it really means in the understanding of the Vedanta by the Acharya is that there are two, you can look upon this as two stages of the moksha. So what is called Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. Two stages. Videha Mukti and Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means while you are living and you have a body, mind complex just like anybody else, you are free. You are free. Again bringing into the example of Raman Maharshi, as because that's the only name that we know, even though there are hundreds of people like that, but he's a good symbol and a good example. Totally free. Doesn't make any difference. The recorded history is that he had a cancer, I think of an arm or some physical, body limb, and it was really becoming a problem, and people were all really upset about it and so on. And he says, "What are you talking about? That's my body. It's not me. I'm completely different from this. You don't understand." Same thing as we were talking about Christ. So this is what is called Jivan Mukti. He is associated with it because of the prarabdha, but he is not bothered by bodies and people and situations because he has a different. I am the Atma. This is called Jivan Mukti. But then when there is a death of the body, then the mukti becomes complete. Not complete, it already is complete, it becomes non-manifested. That would be a better way to do that. One is a manifested completeness, which is not really visible to others except to the person. And the other one is that even the klesha, even the small klesha of sukha dukkha of the body, etc., that also is gone because it is now taken place, and he stays where it is. Doesn't go anywhere. This is the biggest thing, that what happens to us, where do we go after death? We don't go anywhere. We'll talk about this in detail in some other time. But that is called Videha Mukti. So that is what is to call Parantakale. That is what is called above death or the final death, means Videha Mukti Brahmalokeshu. So what is the Brahmaloka? This is also a very important word. Brahmaloka, by non-Vedantins that do not understand, sounds like a heaven. It is actually, even our Shastra also talks about Brahmaloka, that there is a heaven which is one of the highest heavens in where Brahmaji is there and so on. This is where Swami Akhandananda has really excelled in. He and Gaudapadacharyaji's explanation, he says, Brahmaloka is in you. All lokas is in you. And when the feeling of heaven and feeling of postponement, feeling of heaven means feeling of postponement. Right now I'm not happy, but if I did this, I'll be happy. This is a false feeling. Apraptasya praptihi. There is the Brahmaloka means Brahman, which is you already. That is the loka. That is the really meaning. If Swami Akhandananda ji was teaching this verse, this is exactly what he was be saying. Anyway, that's the meaning of this verse. So, It is a further explanation of what a yati has to do. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha Sannyasa Yogat Yataya Shuddhasattvaha Te Brahmaloke Parantakale Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve. And this is going to be chanted very shortly by the priest and I don't know where he is in the noontime arati. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirkamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om